My name is Jean Swider. My maiden name was Klutchik, which means key. That's what it stands for. Brian asked me to tell my story about my childhood, I guess. We start with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Newark, New Jersey, here in the United States. When I was, I guess, about maybe 3 or so, my parents decided to visit their family in Poland. They had relatives there. They owned some property there. So it was supposed to be a short visit. And then the war broke out while we were there. So of course that changed our life. We weren't able to get back. My father was arrested. He was put in a local jail. After Poland was invaded by the Germans, they came and arrested all U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And at first they just put him in a local jail. So then we were able to visit him because it was local. We were at home and they just came to the door and arrested him only because he was a U.S. citizen. I was too young. I was just a child. And my mother was, at that time, was not a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So they didn't have to, she wasn't arrested. Yeah, so he was there, I guess, for, I don't know, maybe even a year. But after that, they took all of them from there, from the jail, and put them in a concentration camp. So for a couple years, we had no idea where my dad was. At that time, I was probably maybe close to 5. We stayed in with my relatives, I guess, in the house that my parents had owned, because by then they were living there, so it wasn't empty. And we stayed there for probably another couple of years. And until the United States, I guess, made a pact with Germany, and so that all U.S. citizens were able to come to America. So my father was released from the concentration camp. My mother and I were given a chance to come back to the United States. But let's see, we had to have a sponsor. You weren't allowed to come unless you had a permanent address to come to. So my dad's sister sponsored us. And she lived in Brooklyn, New York at the time. We came through Ellis Island. I do remember we came by ship. I had a ring that I guess I was given as a child. And I must have been so nervous and so scared that I must have been biting on this ring. And I bent it so out of shape. And I was afraid to show my mother. So I threw it away. And I remember we made friends with some people that were also coming, to the United States. And I guess our luggage and all must have been down in somewhere. So when my mother was to go down there to get like clothes or something from our suitcases, I would scream so bad that they weren't allowing children there. But these friends of ours said, you have to let her go there because she just carries on so much. So they let me go. So I guess we came here in 1942, I think it was. And I think I want to say we came like May or June, and my dad came a couple months after us. And again, he had to have a permanent address, so naturally he came to his sister's house in Brooklyn. And when we saw him, we couldn't recognize him. He was so thin and so worn and so aged. He said they weren't like abused. It was just that they were, away from home. We were so anxious because I was a kid. I hadn't seen my dad in a couple of years, So it was exciting to see him. And we were able to go meet the ship and see him come walk. As I said, it was supposed to be a short visit, right? Who knew?